the body of this text that declares those fundamental liberties. And you remember that the 1682 document said that the proprietors felt they had been deprived of our birthright, freedoms, and privileges to which both we and our ancestors were born. Well, if you read the Declaration of Independence, it says, "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, depriving their just powers from the consent of the governed." That's the same statement, and it's the same statement, just a little different language. But birthright, freedoms, and privileges, inalienable rights, okay, that all men are created equal, born equal. And then further down in the document, when we get to the part about the protest of not being able to enjoy general and free assembly of representatives, we find the following language. Okay. This is the governor has refused to pass laws for the accommodation of large districts of people unless these people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. So they're protesting interference with our assemblies, the same rights that have been protested almost 90 years later. And then we go further down, and this is pertinent for today. When we consider the actions being taken by the town of East Hampton through the town trustees in attempting to give our lands to the town trustees, okay, we need to understand that what rights are being interfered with when that proposal is to be done. Okay. The protest against the king was for taking away our charters, abolishing our most valuable laws, and altering fundamentally the form of our government, for suspending our legislatures, and declaring themselves invested with the power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. Okay? Now remember that. For taking away our charters, interfering with our charters. And then I think at this point I'll go to the Constitution of the State of New York. Okay, this Constitution, this is the original Constitution of the State of New York. This is adopted in 1777. And at Article 36 thereof, it says, and before this article, a complete copy of the Declaration of Independence, the text of the Declaration of Independence, was included in toto in the New York State Constitution. Okay, so after the Declaration of Independence had been recited within our state constitution, it says here at Article 36, "And be it further ordained that all grants of land within this state, made by the King of Great Britain, or persons acting under his authority after the 14th day of October, 1775, shall be null and void, but that nothing in this Constitution contained shall be construed to affect any grants of land within this state made by the authority of said king, so that the Constitution can in no way interfere with our rights through these grants through the king," and I'll be going into that a little bit later. "And that none of the said..." Oh, no, a second. Okay, but that nothing in this Constitution contained shall be construed to affect any grants of land within this state, made by the authority of the said king or his predecessors, or to annul any of the charters to bodies politic by him or them or any of them made prior to that day. Remember that. Charters to body politic. The trustees of the freeholders of the town of East Hampton were chartered as a body politic by the governor of the King of England in 1686. The state constitution specifically prohibited any interference with those rights. And they were also contained in the complaint that there was a tyrants that would interfere with these rights or attempt to annul them. Okay, and that's a significant complaint. That section of the state constitution remained in the body of the state constitution. At last week's show, I talked about Section 17 of Article 1 in the lawsuit of the Montauk Indians against the proprietors that had claimed the fee of land within the common areas, that it was cited that that section of the Constitution protected the Dongan Patent, and the Dongan Patent provided the proprietors the right to deal with the Indians. And so it was still in the Constitution at that time. And I just had a conversation recently with Stuart Vorpal of the town trustees, and he told me that he had investigated this part of the Constitution of the state of New York and found on his inquiry that that section of the Constitution had been removed in 1962, and that there was no basis in law that he had discovered that said that it had been legally removed, and that the person in Albany who he'd been dealing with said that what he had uncovered was a scandal of large proportions. And so I think at this point we need, and the town trustees and the trustees of Montauk need to make a petition to our assembly and to the governor to have that part of the Constitution restored to its rightful place. But that's later. So okay, so after we understand the historical basis and protection of these rights, okay, now we get to the Dongan Patent. The Dongan Patent was a grant of land, but it was also a charter of a body politic. So, and the way that happened was fascinating, because in 1683, right after that petition had been issued to the governor, okay, Thomas Dongan, a new governor, landed on the east end of Long Island, and is recorded that here he heard the language of discontent and dissatisfaction. The petitions of the people procured some relief, and the General Assembly of the Representatives met in 1683, 1684, and 1685. Now this was a local assembly. This was an assembly of representatives at the Long Island level. I think it was in Hempstead, but I'm not sure on that. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong. It was in this atmosphere of contention, where we had the petition and the demand of rights and the exercise of our rights, that the town patent of 1686 was issued, confirming the Nichols patent, and under which the town trustees were established. This patent included within it all of the lands in Montauk. Montauk was included in the Dongan patent. Okay? What is notable about this document is that it sets forth a process of democratic government through an annually elected body of 12 trustees, 2 constables, and 2 assessors. Okay? It was a charter of a body politic established through law, through the governor of the King of England. The Dongan Patent establishes the trustees of the freeholders and commonalty of the town of East Hampton, and provides broad powers to them to make laws and enforce them. And the power to make those laws is only limited in this fashion, so always that said acts and orders be in no ways repugnant to the laws of England and of this province. That's the only limitation the only condition upon the laws that we have the power to establish. So, the language of the Talkin Patent was written in such a way as to run with the land and be enforceable under successor governments. That's why we have the powers in Montauk today. It has generally been historically acknowledged that the rights established under this charter are preserved under the Constitution of the State of New York, as I told you, as I read to you, and the Constitution of the United States of America in the First Amendment, 9th and 10th Amendments. And the town of East Hampton was governed according to its tenets, the 1686 charter, well into this century. And I have yet to discover how it could be supplanted by the governments which now exist over this land. And at this point, okay, I want to show you a document. And what it is, it's the Freedom of Information Act, and I made it in 3 parts. Okay. And what it is, it was filed, and I think you can see the date stamp. Can we get a zoom in on that date stamp right here? That one. It's filed September 4th, 1996. That's the office of the town clerk, Fred Yardley's name on it, and I have 3 of these. And what these are, okay, these are Freedom of Information Act requests, and what I wanted to know, because I can't seem to get information from anyone, is by what right the town of East Hampton the government that exists there can claim any rights over Montauk. Because I don't understand how it happened that a new government came in, pushed aside the town trustees, took control of the land, And even though the town trustees had no control over Montauk, the new government took control over Montauk. I want to know the legal basis for that claim. All right, so what I'm attempting to do is to discover that. Now, according to statute, they're in violation of statute because this has been filed for over a month now, and I've received no response. You know, I haven't even received recognition that they have received this.